For those of you who are joining the Spotlight conversation for the first time, this is a new development this year that we're really excited to be able to host, and the reason why we do it is we want to try to bring attention to some of the issues that may not necessarily be getting the attention that they deserve. And so sometimes we see either a region, a country, a place, or a problem that needs specialized attention, and we want to draw special attention to it. And so this series this week is intended to do just that. And we've been very excited to have some extremely good presentations so far this week, and we're excited very much about today's discussion around the Ahafo region in Ghana and some of the experiences in implementing their master plan to expand access to safe drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene. So we're really excited about that. So without further ado, I'd like to invite up Samson Amokokwateng to give us some opening remarks. He's the Chief Director for the Ahafo Region. And Samson, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Samson Amokokwateng, a Director at the Ahafo Regional Coordinating Council. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I wish on behalf of my regional minister who is present here this afternoon, my team members from Ghana, and my own behalf, I wish to welcome you all to this afternoon session. On the topic, leveraging client services approaches to drive leadership action in the region-wide implementation of the water, sanitation, hygiene, and master plans in Ghana, experiences from the Ahafo region. Let me begin by saying in Ghana, we have 16 administrative regions, and Ahafo Region is one of the regions created in 2017 for two main reasons. The first reason being to bring governance closer to the people, and secondly, to hasten development in the region. Since the creation of the region, client services have become the cornerstone in the successful implementation and sustainability of water, sanitation, hygiene initiatives, particularly in the Ahafo region. With the region aiming to achieve region-wide wash coverage by 2030, the integration of client services has proven to be a critical driver of leadership actions and community engagement. Launched as a pilot program in 2017 in one of our districts called Esutifi North, the WASH initiative expanded in 2022 to include two additional assemblies, namely Tano North and Sunafo North. By 2024, the initiative covers all the 6 districts in the region. This program was spearheaded by local authorities at the district and the regional levels, with substantial technical and financial support from IRC Ghana and other partners, alongside significant funding from the Hilton Foundation. Today, as we meet, we will share with you our experiences in the preparation and implementation of the WASH master plans in the region. We will begin by throwing more light on the profile of the region, or most of you here might not be in the position to know much about Ahafo. So we'll throw more light on the profile of the region. And to do this, ladies and gentlemen, and with your permission, I will first invite Mr. Jacob Intiamwa to do that on behalf of the region. Thank you very much, and you are most welcome.
Thank you very much, Chief Director, for the opportunity to do the presentation on behalf of the region. As you can see from Chief Director's initial comments, Ahafo happens to be one of the new regions in Ghana. Even though it's a new region, it happens to be the region with the biggest WASH program in Ghana. And as you heard, it started in Esutifi North, and as I speak, we have all the 6 districts implementing WASH master plans. Ahafo is located in the southeastern part of Ghana with a population of just about 600,000, very small. And it is said that small is beautiful. So no wonder. Maybe because we are small, we are able to plan well and implement. And one of the 2 we are using to achieve our WASH target is the WASH master plan. The land size is not too big, just a little over 5,200 square kilometers, and the major economic activities are mining, farming, trading, and then lumbering. Now, as he noted, in 2017, the leadership at that time identified that water and sanitation and hygiene, there are a number of challenges that confront the sector, such as inadequate water facilities, high breakdown of systems, non-payment of WASH services, weak ownership and accountability of leadership, and low hygiene literacy. These are some of the challenges that confronted the WASH sector. So the leadership then thought about piloting, and with support from partners like IRC and other partners, a WASH master plan was put in place. Now, in order to achieve success in the WASH sector, there was the need for a WASH vision. And the vision was to attain 100% coverage. So, by 2030. So you can see that in the pilot, when it started in 2017, the plan is that by 2030, they achieve 100%. Now it has been expanded to the entire region, and we are still not perturbed. We hope that by 2030, we'll achieve that. As Bible says, if your faith is like a grain of a mustard seed, you can say to the mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall be removed, and nothing shall be impossible. Yeah, so we are very hopeful and focused to achieve 100% coverage by 2030. And now, how do we achieve that? How do you achieve that? It is through WASH master plans and a regional integrated plan. So, like I said, all the districts now have WASH master plans. So if you have a partner here and you have resources and you are looking for where to invest, then come to Ahafo, because we are focused, we are deliberate, we are intentional, and we know where we are going. Now, so what are the regional priorities in the WASH master plans? Building of infrastructure is one key thing that we want to achieve through these WASH master plans. And then capacity building, both government, service provided, and users. And then public awareness and education. And this is one of the areas that we have identified as very critical in changing behaviors to ensure success in a WASH program. And this client service approach is one of such initiatives. Of course, data and accountability is needed, and as one of the strategy, we collect a lot of data. We don't do things just for doing sake. Now the world is controlled by data. Whatever decisions you need to take, you need to make sure that you have the right data. So we support with our partners, we collect the data, we analyze it, and we plan and we achieve. Now, what are the core principles? For a WASH program to be successful, you cannot do without these principles that we have identified. One, leadership. Leadership drives everything. We've come to a stage where we recognize that leadership is cause and all other things is effect. I remember when we came last week, a colleague of mine, I was driving with him, we were riding in a car, and we got to a tunnel. And when we got to the tunnel, he said, and we all observed, that all the lighting system within the tunnel was working. So even at midnight, you could drive through it safely. So I asked him, we were discussing, and we said, what could be the secret? If I can find the mayor of that city, I will not mention it. If I can find the mayor of that city, I'm going to congratulate him because he has made all the lights to work. And that is leadership. That is planning. Because he has seen that security is fundamental. And so my colleague compared it to another tunnel we saw somewhere, I don't want to mention, where no light is working. So when you get there in the night, you are even afraid to go under the tunnel because criminals could easily attack you. So leadership plays a critical role in the success of every program, including WASH. And then we talk about stakeholder engagement and participation. This is also key and paramount because you are working with a number of stakeholders. And through this engagement, we've been able to mobilize a lot of support. And you will come to realize that the successes we are achieving is from key stakeholders, both development partners and local stakeholders. And another key principle is sustainability. Because if you build WASH systems, if you build infrastructure, and you don't have resilient, so now I should add climate resilient. If you don't have climate resilient systems in place or strategies to keep the infrastructure, then within a short time, it erodes off and then you lose the infrastructure. And then the last but not least, we talk about reducing inequalities. Because whether we like it or not, we still have a number of inequalities within our communities. Some can pay for the services, some cannot pay. So we must look at strategies to cross-subsidize, to ensure that the rich people, like most of you sitting here, who are rich or within a high income bracket, we charge you more, and then the money could be used to pay for the low income areas. Now, like I said from the beginning, you can't do a WASH program without partnership. So we built a lot of partnership with local communities, private sector, non-governmental organizations, and then international partners. And at this level, I would like you to help me clap for one of our major donors who supports almost all the partners within our region, which is Conrad Hilton Foundation, Conrad N. Hilton Foundation. Thanks to their support, we've been able to transform lives. Thanks to their support, we've been able to send water to a lot of homes. And thanks to their support, the economic livelihood of people, women, children, men have improved. Now, what we are saying is that when you have partnership, it drives the scaling up, and then you can also reach impact. Now, at this stage, I would like to say, recognize some of the partners that we have been working with. And even though the list may not be exhaustive, but those who are here we will recognize them. We can talk about Easy Water for Everyone, Saha Global, Water Aid, Latter-day Saints Foundation. And when it comes to capacity building and technical support, we cannot do without IRC. They were the brain behind the initiative and then the pilot that started in Esutifi North, and they have always been with us. I can also talk about Acquire, which makes sure that there is water quality in. We don't just provide water, but the water is safe for drinking. We also have a Netcentric campaign, who is in charge of the aspect of communication. And then this client service, they've helped us to set up an effective wash desk, which is able to diagnose or listen to complaints of our clients, and then they deal with it. And when the panel sits, they are going to share light on how we are able to achieve that. We talk about Safe Water Network. This is an enterprise, a social enterprise, which ensures that we send water to every community. And then Project Magi. Project Magi also ensures that they use mechanized boreholes, and then with technology, they are able to ensure effective collection of tariff. You remember through the panel discussion on the finance, I remember the presenter spoke about 3 T's. One was taxes, one was tariff, and the third one was what? No. He said the third one was there, but in the absence of that, there is trouble. Transfers. Let's give him a clap. Yes. So now you get transfers, but you notice that the transfers, they are limited. They may not continue to the end. You get taxes at the local level. How far can you tax, especially for the poor? So tariffs. That is where I can charge you, the rich people, and take the money and can use to subsidize for the low income. So that area is something that we ensure that it works, so that every partner is able to get water. And then we talk about World Vision. They also support us in providing infrastructure of all kinds in the communities. So without wasting time, I would like to end here and then invite back our able moderator to take it up. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Jake. That was great, and it was great to hear the overview, as well as the, hear you talk about your partners and the roles that your partners are playing in this process. That's an important part of all of this, and so I think it was great to see that. We're going to go invite a panel up in a second. Before we do, we're going to play a quick video to give you a little bit of a sense of what it's really like in the region and on the ground. So, Bart, if we can actually play the video, or is that up to me? Oh, you got it.
Squatting, we won't fear the ananu. My closest to the Kojonkuma. And maybe me Wahana, Yenia Beme was see a friend wash officer, who free a summary, a bar has one near bidding and come off and sue. And I'm so made my district, dear two names, and she dear Yamian in Ukraine, ye were who how power cream. Emma, one name didn't show whom come on, say almost soon show more Dumana, or more ye baby and shooting, or more woman, she yet. Ebaho, no quasemni, or the number mammy. I'm now backward the number, mammy. The time be an amnini and so was so my friend, no, so from Nam Dinsione Danica, saying she now by share born Miss Reno. Or mammy who says you know a becos, and also come gracious and say, Insuno, and chekra, and Sabecan Nessunya miatum, or mammy enya, in Shuni Biwa. I dear me Nammy Timmy Yabuani say, no more can be fano, and who need ye. enti me de me hu hiem ekoko so ni bi se be ya ahudie be koso ma yensuo no ebetimi abantem enti na emre bia na mehwe ma toilet no ye wamanfo tutu toilet mehwe ma so eye kama kwan ye be fa so e be wo hye yensa sanitizer e de be wo hye yensa ne ade na me bo hu dawura tambia no ne yetu hu anamo de se community no ya ye de bo nsuo no hu ban ne se nsuo no o ma betu amaye nyame ani o ma anje iska na emum no nsuo no nhihye ya community for ya ye ne se ye beton ye nsuo na agege nkapre se be ya ekina nsuo no hu to kima ye benya bi e de akwakoye emo abo aye pa titiri ye ma no ye sole anopa bi wo ha be no nkro na afi na akra afiri nsuo aba wo ko nsuo eso ene emmo no nso nkra na akra bi anya outimi akoni nsuo aba be dware a odi ko ni school ye mpanyimfo kra ye wo mu bi wo ha wo ya abrewa they say what if you fan bucket ya otimi ko nsuo ni bi nti abo akuro no pa ye make a kire assembly phone say nyame nhira wo mu nyame mo di omo hwehwe bia no emre mu ma wo mu e wo mu a omo di abebo akwadwa nkroma community a ene wo ma yiye free nsuo ha wo mu e ma ne ye nya ahoto ti nyame nhira wo mu nyina.
Great, thank you. And if you can teach me how you get your kids up before 7 a.m., I could benefit from that. Okay, I'd like to invite up a panel that we're going to use to discuss a little bit deeper some of the challenges in the Ahafo region and some of the work that they're doing. So I'd like to invite up His Excellency George Biake. He is the regional minister for the Ahafo region in Ghana. Jake, I'd like to invite you back up as well. Patience Apuma, she's the Senior Planning Analyst at the National Development Planning Commission of Ghana. And Charles Nusakor, the Regional Wash Field Officer for Netcentric campaigns in Ghana. Thank you, Charles. All right, I'm going to move down to the floor. I think you guys know how this works. I like to see them, and I like them to be looking at you rather than looking at me off in the corner. And so I'm going to walk off over here. And maybe I'll ask the first question of Your Excellency. And maybe you can share your vision for, we heard a little bit from Jake, of course, about what the vision for WASH in the region might be. But what's your vision for WASH in the Ahafo region? And how does the WASH master plan fit into this vision?
Thank you. As a political entity and as the representative of the president in the region, I don't think my vision would deviate too much from the national vision. The national vision is to ensure 100% coverage, WASH coverage by 2020. And whatever vision I have must be nested in this broad vision. And therefore, as the regional minister for Ahafo, my wish is that by 2020, 2030, we should have 100% WASH coverage in the region. And to be able to do this, we take a cue from the experiment we made in Asutifi North, where the project actually started. They were made to make their master plan, and this master plan was rigorously followed. And as a result, Asutifi North has become an icon. The Asutifi North district has exhibited so much excellence in this field that people from far and wide come there to learn. There was a time my district chief executive was even invited to Sweden to share the district experience with them. So based on the excellent performance of Asutifi North, and then through technical support from IRC, and then funds from Hilton Foundation. 3 other districts have been roped in. Asutifi, Asunafo North, Tano North, and then Asunafo South. They were assisted through Hilton Foundation to prepare their master plans, which have been done, which have been excellently done. And we had four of our districts roped into the WASH program, 2. But our determination was to get a region-wide WASH coverage. Therefore, there was the need to rope in Tano South and then Asutifi South. Through Hilton Foundation, you were able to get funds to help them do their master plans. So therefore, all the 6 districts have got their master plans, and all the 6 have been integrated into a regional master plan, which will be launched in the first week of November. And that will be a grand takeoff for the region. Thank you.
No, that's great to hear. Maybe one quick question. What kind of support have you received from the national government in implementing your strategy?
To ensure effective ownership, we impress upon the various assemblies to use part of their monies they get from central government to support some of the projects that come their way. And this they have done. Some contribute 30%, some 40%, and even some contribute about 50%. And if you come to Ahafo and you don't experience water shortage, it is because of the fact that all hands are on deck.
Great. Thank you very much. Maybe Patience, you can tell us a little bit about the role of the National Development Planning Committee in this process and how it supports this WASH master plans and how that aligns with the broader national efforts.
Thank you very much. So with the National Development Planning Commission, our major task is to develop plans for the nation. But what we do is to guide plan preparation processes and also development of policies for the nation. With the inception of master plan preparation, the NDPC actually looked into its viability, because what we do is to produce medium-term plans. So that is what the nation brings up. And to avoid duplication of efforts, we needed to actually check, assess whether it is potent for all districts to follow. So we did a little assessment, and interestingly, we found out that a lot of our plans don't really get implemented to the latter. We normally get 40%, 50% on average implementation. One of the reasons had to do with improper planning. So with regards to WASH, we realized that right from issue identification, even to the goal setting, objective setting, the strategies, projections, there are a number of our districts that were really lagging in that kind of content. So you pick a typical medium-term plan previously, and there are some deficiencies when it comes to the processes or the lay-down formats that need to be made into the plans. And this ends up affecting budgeting, because if it is not well planned, it will not find itself in the action plan, where there's a need for the Ministry of Finance to provide allocation on a yearly basis. So that is where we came in to throw our support to this process. First and foremost, not necessarily to duplicate the processes, but to ensure sustainability of implementation of these plans. Second is to strengthen capacity when it comes to planning. And the other one, because we saw the great or the very good case study from Asutifi North with regards to the attraction of investment, we thought it wise to also support and even support in scaling up these processes. So the master plan preparation is there, but medium-term plans will actually take from these master plans as part of the medium-term plan preparation. So master plan may be 5 or 6 or 10 years. So anytime the medium-term plan ends and it begins, there's already a laid out information in the master plan which can feed into the medium-term plan preparation. So I believe that is one of the anchor reasons where the NDPC has thrown a lot of effort and support, even in the master plan preparation. We are presently helping about 10 districts to also prepare their master plan going forward. And we hope that they also have the same case studies as Esutife North.
So the NDPC provides this process support to help these regions develop those plans and strategies and their goals. You know, I don't know how many folks we have in the room. To me, this is one of the most neglected but most important functions in a lot of the water work that we do, which is we invest a lot of money in doing the hardware part of the process, but not much in the software. And the idea that that process has to be done right at the very beginning, how we engage stakeholders, how we identify goals and objectives and lay out a thoughtful plan is critically important. So I think it's really interesting to see that you've got a very specific role, and capacity building in that regard is something that often goes neglected. And in terms of funding priorities, it's rare that we have indicators and objectives related to the process that are often is critical. So thank you for raising those points. I think those are great things that we need to reflect on. Maybe turning back to you for a minute, Jake. You know, we've heard your vision. We heard His Excellency's vision as well. Can you tell us a little bit about the specific innovations on the ground that the RCC is addressing through this master plan?
Okay. Now, so remember our...
Yeah, we are recording this, and we have an online audience. We want to make sure.
Remember our topic is leveraging client service approaches to address or to influence leadership action in addressing the implementation of the WASH master plans. Now, as part of our approach, we noticed that, as you said, you need to engage with the clients to understand how they are feeling about our WASH program. So we did a lot of engagement with them, came out with what we call network assessment. And then we identify all our stakeholders when it comes to communicating with the master plan. Now, through this, we were able to know how they feel and how the complaints they have. And then those complaints, we set up a WASH desk within every district. This WASH desk coordinates this complaint, and then they meet every month to discuss and come out with solutions. So in implementing the master plan, we don't just look at just providing the infrastructure. Providing the infrastructure is one thing, but is it really serving the purpose of the people? This is where the engagement bit comes in. So we have tools, various tools we've developed to engage. We have a toll-free number, for example. As you heard in the video, the woman said the WASH desk officer came to him and told him about the program they are running. He gave him a number. He gave her a number, and she kept calling. She kept calling, and eventually they had the water. So one tool is using a toll-free number and also having a short code where people could text us their challenge, and once they text us their challenge, we are able to follow up with them, and then the implementation of the master plan is ongoing. Thank you.
No, that's very helpful. And you know, reflecting a little bit on our earlier conversation around climate change, one of the things that didn't come up very strongly was the importance of strengthening those institutional relationships and social coherence in generating true resilience on the ground. And so I appreciate your focus on building those networks of relationships and engagements, because at the end of the day, true resilience comes from the ability of people to work together to solve new problems that they didn't realize were going to happen when they originally built these systems. So I think that's critically important. And you talked a little bit, can you tell us a little bit more, though, about how the RCC is implementing some of these strategies? What are some of the novel approaches you've taken to make some of these projects work?
Okay, so now when it comes to the implementation of the master plan, as I said from the beginning, leadership plays a critical role. So for all the partners that are on the ground, we make sure that we meet them periodically. So for example, through collaboration with World Vision, they've been able to raise $5 million thanks to our partners. And as I speak, they are engaged in various infrastructure projects in Esutifi North, and then, Esunafo North, and then Esutifi North, yes. So through this coordination, they've been able to raise this fund. Apart from that, coordinating with other partners like Project Magi, like I mentioned, they have been also, Project Magi has been able to provide about 7 water systems in Esunafo South alone. 7 water systems. And this is very phenomenal. When you get to the community, they are so excited about it. And of course, as I said, Safe Water is also engaged in massive delivery. The last time we went for inspection, the regional minister went for inspection, they've erected about 2 overhead tanks to send water to 2 major communities. I think their officer is here. So through engagement with all our partners, we are able to support them to get funding, and then they do the implementation of the project. So for me, leadership, the leadership role of coordination is very critical. And what we do is we ensure that delivery of infrastructure is not just piecemeal. So for example, when World Vision, they were writing the proposal to provide infrastructure, the $5 million, there was a debate. Will you spread it thinly across the whole region so that you don't see the impact? Then we said no. Let's focus on two districts. The pilot was Esutifi North. Let's go there and strengthen the gains they've made so that they don't lose it for sustainability. But let's add another district, which is Esunafo North. That place too, now they are doing a lot of infrastructure. And then when Project Magi came, they went to Esunafo South. Now when later days Saint Charity, they came through IRC, with IRC, we took them to Tano North. So you see, we are coordinating even how and where the infrastructure goes. And currently we are talking to other partners to come out with proposal to support Tano South and Esutifi South. So you notice that the leadership I spoke about, which is central, is helping to coordinate and distributing the projects across the region.
No, thank you. You mentioned infrastructure quite a bit. Are there other core challenges that you see that you need to address as this process unfolds?
Yes. One other challenge is behavior change. As you provide the infrastructure, people need to change the behavior as to how they even take care of this infrastructure. As you can see from the video, the woman clearly said that after this, the assembly supported them to build the pipe facility, they have educated them on how to ensure that they wash their hands properly, even before, before eating, and also after visiting the toilet. They need to wash their hands well. Even how to keep the pipe, the surroundings clean. And you heard, or you may read, for those who don't understand the local language, you saw the subtitle where she said that, look, they now keep the place very neat, and it has improved how their hygiene in the community. So apart from the infrastructure side, we also have the communication and also the behavior change component, which we are working all together.
So you've got a lot of components that are going on here. What does your master plan look like? How do you sequence these different things in order to achieve the results you're hoping for?
Yes, so like I said, the master plan, we have core areas that it looks at. Now, when you provide the infrastructure, it doesn't end there. You provide the infrastructure, you also ensure that there are systems in place to ensure the effective management of the infrastructure. And now one of the things that is coming up strongly is the issue of management. How to professionalize the management. And thanks to the leadership of our minister, you know, in Ghana, most of the infrastructure was based on community management. And over the years, we've seen that, yes, there have been some successes in some communities, but in other communities, it has not been very helpful. So we are using a combination of management systems. So when you take, for example, Project Magi, when they provide a facility, they themselves have engineers and water service workers who work and manage the facility and ensure that they provide water 24/7. Yes, but other other partners like World Vision, when they provide, they try to work with the community for its management. And now we are even going beyond just community management, but trying to introduce insurance component for the facilities. Because, for example, when there is a major breakdown of a pump, within 2 years or within 1 year, maybe the money that might have been mobilized at that time will not be able to pay for the replacement. So now we are even going beyond and looking at insurance products where it's also being piloted so that we can mobilize funds by paying the communities pay premium, and then when there is a problem, the insurance company can come in and replace the facility so that there is continuous provision. So yes, it's not just enough to provide the infrastructure, but you need to put in place management systems to ensure sustainability. And that requires leadership action, and also that requires ensuring that you don't leave anybody behind. So that is also one of the key principles. We ensure that infrastructure is well distributed, both urban and rural. So for example, safe water, because it is a social enterprise, they focus on the urban centers. This is where people can pay for water. But if you take easy water for everyone, for example, they focus on the last mile communities where, I mean, you don't find so many people. Meanwhile, water is very critical for their, and then Sahara Global, for example, they focus on the last mile communities. So ours is an integrated program which ensures that we leave no one behind. Both the urban and the rural areas, we are all on board.
Oh, that's great to hear. Charles, both Jake and Patience have mentioned this idea of stakeholder engagement and how important it is to hear from communities in shaping these services and how it happens. And I know that's a focus area for Netcentric. Can you tell us a little bit more about the different avenues for engaging communities and how you're using their input to improve services? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Hello. All right, thank you very much for the question. Currently, we have 7 channels within which we work in the region. The first one is a regional toll-free number, which Jake made mention of, and that allows people to phone in at any point in time to talk to us. We also have the short code where people send SMS if they're unable to give us a call. Then we have the other channel, which is the SMS blast. So it's a weekly message we send out there to people within the region, prompting them about the existence of the watch desk, and then always reminding them that at any point in time, they can just give us a call through the toll-free number or leave a message. In addition to that, we also update them about critical issues like water quality. So assuming Acquire within the month comes in to run their water quality test, people within those communities are sent SMS blast telling them or informing them about their water quality status. Then we also look at the social media handles, specifically WhatsApp, where we interact with people within the region. We also look at radio programs, monthly radio programs, and through these programs, we engage with our people. Then we also look at the community information centers. So for the most rural parts of the district, where people would want to have direct contact with any person to speak to, we are working with the local information centers where people work in there to talk to the information center attendants about whatever issues they have. Then we also look at the community engagement, that is the face-to-face interaction. So having constituted the watch desk, we have a team of 5 people or 5 staffs within the district who periodically reach out to these various communities and then have that direct engagement with them. So within all this, we realize that through these channels, people are able to raise concerns, especially, and a number of these concerns that come, or complaints that come, in line with people requesting for water infrastructure in their communities, others also requesting for rehabilitation. So for instance, just last month, we had one of our communities which had their borehole broken down for almost three years now, being resolved just through a phone call. We also have the other bits of this where we are able to educate or sensitize community members through these channels of engagement. Then the third is capacity building. So at the various community levels, we are able to identify some individuals, and they come in the form of volunteers who come in to support for wash activities at the within the various communities. And having done or undertaken all these activities, I think that we have chalked a number of successes. And as we speak, we have about 30,000 network members across the region. So for instance, just 3-4 weeks back when we commemorated the World Water Week, within that space of 1 week, we had total network membership recruitment of 7,500. So this all came out of visits, the visits we did to churches, visits we did to mosques, radio programs we held, visits to the healthcare facilities, and I mean all other platforms where we decided to interact or engage with these people. And I would also want to talk about the fact that we've been able to resolve about 70% of the complaints that have come in over the years. So actually we have over 800 plus complaints, all about water, sanitation, and hygiene. And due to the proactiveness and then the commitment of the various MMDAs, we've been able to resolve 70% of these issues. But majority of these were within the Sutifi North, which is the pilot district. Then lastly, I would also want to talk about how people are now enthused to undertake or partake in wash-related activities. So we have Kenya's #1, for instance, coming together to mobilize its network to organize monthly cleanup exercises within the various districts. Yeah.
Now that's helpful. And so if I understand, the response rate is better than in the northern district where a lot of these activities are taking place. So, I mean, do you have advice on when you should put these types of desks in place where people can call, or these hotlines in place? I can imagine those rates are not as good in the southern district and people become disappointed if they call. Is there do you have a recipe for when you actually put these types of tools in place?
Can you come again with your question?
Yeah, so I guess the question is, we know that these things are more successful in places where you have ongoing activities and the support structure in place to respond to the calls that you're getting, and not as successful in places where you can't respond to those calls. So when you're thinking about where you engage or deploy these types of mechanisms, do you give consideration to the ongoing support structure? Otherwise, you're creating a lot of demand, perhaps in places that the government or partners can't respond to.
Okay, so I think that currently the structure in place is that, I mean, we have a number of partners currently running on the project. So irrespective of the demand that comes from the community members, we try to make them aware. It's all about communication. So we make them aware that it's a program we are running and we have a number of partners on board. So those that they are able to resolve within the shortest possible time, fine, we could do that. But in an instance where there isn't funding, maybe from government, or if should partners exit on the project, I mean, definitely, since it is part of the WASH master plan, which of course we are still lobbying to still have people come in, definitely those issues or those requests would be attended to.
You know, Jake, you know, from your side, I mean, I used to work in government. The last thing I want to do is to post my phone number in a place where people who have problems can call me and say, my system's not working. How does this type of a process affect you and the sustainability of the work that you're doing?
Yes, so like he said, fortunately, what we've done as a way of also preventing some of this is to have, even though the toll-free number is regional, so when you call, automatically the system will ask you, which district do you want to go? For maybe for Ahafo North, press 1. For Ahafo South, press 2, up to all the 6. And if the district that you go to is not able to respond, the call automatically comes to an officer at the RCC, so that he or she picks it up, and then we will follow up. Now, after the complaint has been lodged, we have a monitoring system and we monitor the complaints. Now, like he said, the best thing is to communicate and be frank. Once you are communicate and you are frank, you are transparent, they know that, oh, when we got the funding, we were able to resolve A, B, C, D. So we are promising you that in the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, we will also support E, F, G. So once you are communicating with them, like he said, through the community radio, through the text messaging, through community database, at least they know there is that trust that when funding comes, you will meet it. It is different when you are not communicating. They just bring the complaint, you receive it, and that is it. But this time, we communicate with them. We meet them, we engage. So they know that even if the money is not here now, it will come later. Yeah, thank you.
No, that's great. I'm going to open it up to questions, and so I'm going to walk around with the microphone, and for those of you who have, sorry, I know I'm going to fall down at one point. Those of you who have questions or comments, please keep them in mind. But we'd like, before we turn to questions, we'd like to run a second video, and then I'll open the panel up to all of your comments and questions. So I wonder, Bart, if you could run that second video.
If we be asked, a friend, Mamma Barney, I didn't fear the watching night. Now, we don't use you. It's your on the tunnel. I go for the two see your hammer. Ti e ba ye no, am ye say nsuo no meton bi. Na meton nsuo ni bi. Nsuo na meton so aboa me pa. E first na me niki so na me te nsuo na no kwa. Nti me fra mo say me niki so ampa de o say ye bra niki so ni bi. Ma me de ne magu. Nti tonton mo no me ne anwa ne tosi ne ne ma gare ne asi kire no me ne nchi ne ma bibi. E wa yi nti nsuo na de ba ye no. Aboa e pa e de ye ndwan. Mure bia no mo kire say ye kwani a enhoro nsuo no so ye ko ho course si enhoro so ne ni hu ni ti me ho so kama na ma twe abo agu ho ya me de ayi bibia ye ne kama so so me de ya yi bokiti ba ye yan pesos my phone ye ne ye won panifo ho ha mo hwe so mai nti agigi a na abe nkonta na ma wo da bia ne ya twere nti ye nkonta ma wo no ma no wo zika na kwato ba de ti say adwuma no nsuo hu bibi sɛ yi a ne ɛbɔ ɔma ma ne a na ɔmo de bia bɛ ya ma yi ɔmo makɔ bank ya kɔ yisika ne abɛ ya ma yi ma yi sa sɛ first no yɛ wɔ nsuo wɔ ha ɛnso krehin no ne buo na ya nti wo so de wo bia no a no na kyɛ sɛ wo te wo ba bi kora na ayɛ ma na wakɔ so a na wo de kɔ nti ne de abɔ yi kuroma pa de nyame da wɔ mo ase sɛ mɛbrɛ ɛmrɛ foforo na adwuma de brɛ yɛ na yɛ pa nti wɔn mo mo ayɛ so yɛnso yɛ bɛ boa wo no.
Great, thank you for that one. I'm going to look around. Any first opening questions over here on the right? Introduce yourself if you can.
I'm James. I'm a student at Cranfield University. Thank you for the great work you are doing in the Ahafo region. First of all, I have a recommendation and a question at the same time regarding the videos. I think it's a great video, but if you could have maybe presented some of the work you've done, like the pipe you've supplied, the water, the hygiene, the sanitation, in the videos for stakeholders to have a visual appreciation of what you've done, to be great. And question is regarding the economic activities in the Ahafo region. You made mention of mining as one of them. I've actually lived in a mining community, a legal mining community called King Ross Mining in Chirano. Before the mining came to the area, the water source for drinking was a river. They came, they started operation, and they involved various stakeholders, made promises. And one thing I've also known in the rural areas of Ghana is that traditionals would like to preserve nature, particularly the rivers, the forest reserves. They don't really they really treat them as very, very important source of resources. Within a few years, they built dams to keep the tailings of the mines on site. But when the dams become full, they have to release the tailings into the rivers. And these rivers were sources of water for drinking in the community. Now, if you go to that community, I can assure you that river have lost its course and is no longer a river. It's just some point of potholes that have been left. Understand the fact that it's an economic way to also boost the economic status of the people in your community. Beyond policy and regulations, what are you doing differently in Ahafo region to reduce the impact of mining on rivers and natural reserves in that part of Ghana? Thank you.
Great question.
Thank you very much. In Ahafo, we don't have galamsey. What we do in Ahafo is responsible mining. And we have one major mining company, Newmont. And the type of work they do does not affect the livelihood of the people negatively. In fact, they even assist the various assemblies within the area they operate to get good drinking water. When the partners come and they ask for contribution from the assemblies, they even assist the assemblies to pay so that they get good drinking water to to drink. So far as mining is concerned in Ahafo, it is a blessing rather than the reverse. Thank you very much.
Jake, is surface water, the quality of surface water also monitored, and is that provided to users in the region?
Yeah, so fortunately, we have the Environmental Protection Agency, the regional office in Ahafo. So they do monitor surface water to ensure that it is the turbidity levels and it is within acceptable limits. And when it comes to potable drinking water, as I said, within our partnership, we have an entity called Acquire Institute, which work in collaboration with KNUST and other partners with the various assemblies and the water boards, so that they do monthly, every month, they go for samples of the water and they test it at the Ghana Water Company office in Sunyani to ensure that the water is safe for drinking. So within our system, we ensure that the water is of good quality. Now, when it comes to your suggestion about enumerating the various infrastructure programs that have been achieved, that is a very good suggestion. So we will, we didn't want to come and talk too much because this one, the emphasis was on client services, not on the infrastructure side, actually. So what I did was just to give a background of the whole program. So next time, maybe if Aaron gives us the chance next year, we'll come and do a major presentation. That time we even have more projects so that we can showcase for you to know with pictures of the water systems that have been delivered. Thank you.
You guys are always welcome. Charles, when you said you provide the water quality data to people, what do you give them? Is this just a good, bad indicator, or do you actually give them numbers on? And does that include, for example, let's say toxic metals that might be the result of mining?
All right, so within the region, our water point sources are not really affected by the mining activity. And the result we actually give them is just the indicator, whether it is good or bad. Okay. But then, as part of the message, it's a way we inform them to participate in our next meeting if they really want to understand the water quality results that came in the past month. So people who are interested, join those platforms, join those water quality result testing discussions platforms, they participate in those forums and then they ask whatever question they want to ask.
Perfect. And you can go into detail then about what the data actually means. Please go ahead. I'll get you next.
Thank you very much. My name is Alicia from Cranfield University too. I do know that we mentioned a bit about resilience, and Nichoko, you did also talk about how you intend to sustain the project. But I'm quite interested if you can talk to us a bit about how you're going to secure this amazing project. What's the political resilience? We talked about leadership as very critical to the sustainability of these projects. How are we going to safeguard these projects against political changes as we used to in Ghana? And also, I just wanted to find out if you have plans of having people on site when it comes to the communication between the clients and you. One of the research we did in South Africa, one of the things we realized was people actually want to talk to somebody face to face when they have issues. It's amazing that we have toll-free, we have WhatsApp, but just in case, could that be a possibility that you would want to explore in terms of expanding your access and the customer satisfaction as well? Thank you.
Thank you.
So to safeguard political interference and what have you, we have, Community Water and Sanitation Agency initially only provided the infrastructure and then left the management of the infrastructure to the local communities. And in any of these situations, people in the community made sure that those who were in charge of the facility belong to the party in power. So there has been a shift. These days, Community Water and Sanitation Agency provide the infrastructure and then provide management. So if there's a change in government, it doesn't affect it. And then if you look at what Project Maggi, for example, is doing, they put up their infrastructure and then take over the management. So it doesn't have any political interference. So I'm very sure all other partners who are coming in will also adopt this strategy to avoid political interference. Thank you very much.
So just to add a little bit to what the minister said, in my presentation, when I was talking about the principles under the sustainability, I also talk about professionalizing the management. So within the long term and the framework is to professionalize every water system, the management of every water system that we have. Currently, we still have, yes, community management. For example, Kano South, Bichim, their water board is one of the best you can find in the whole of the country. Yes, because one, they even sometimes give money, they borrow money to other systems because they have the traditional authority who have demonstrated leadership and ensuring that everybody pays and then the money too is well accounted for. So with good accountability systems and good leadership and professionalizing the management, in the long run, we are able to ensure sustainability, especially when it comes to finance side. And now we are even going into insurance so that in case of something which is beyond the community, the insurance can come in and pay because professionalism is the key. I was surprised. The hotel in which I stay was built by the university and given to hotel managers like Hayat to run it. So for me, for most of the hotels I've slept in since I came, they are one of the best. So I was asking myself, how will a business school who teach all the business in this world give their hotel for somebody to manage? It tells you that when you professionalize, it helps. Thank you.
Now, Jake, I think you're absolutely right. But your first principle was leadership. And there's no question the minister's leadership has strengthened and enabled you guys to get the work done that you need to get done. Excellent. So to your point, sustaining that leadership is critically important. So I hear you, but I recognize your point. Please. And I thank the minister for his leadership on this issue. You may have to, flip it up. Just push it up. You're good.
It's okay now, eh?
Yeah.
I'm Engineer Ahmed Sentumbe from Uganda. You've based your projections a lot on the master plan. And these master plans are always formulated basing on the requirements, resources to achieve the percentage you have. In your presentation, you didn't talk about any government program to back up the projects funded by external donors. And my question is, what gives you the confidence that by 2030, these master plans that are based on the requirements to achieve that will be realized when there is no program by government to back up the external donors? Because with the external donors, anytime they can dry up before 2030.
Thank you very much. It's rather unfortunate we skewed our thoughts to that area. But the fact is that government is also helping In the regional capital, for example, the government is undertaking a massive water project. Then if you go to a town like Mim, there's another water project. Then there's another one at VDM in the Suitifi South. And all the old systems, they are going back to renovate the old systems and then expand the systems so as to cater for the increasing population. So the government is largely involved. It was just I was about to come. We had communication from the government that each district should get 10 mechanized boreholes. Contractors are on site and they are doing the boreholes and they mechanize them for the various communities. So in all, I can say that for this year, each district in Ahafo has got about 60 of these mechanized boreholes from the central government. So the fact that we are talking much about our donors doesn't mean the government is aloof. The government is also helping. But we have to extol the virtues of the partners for what they have done. That is why the searchlight is on them. Thank you very much.
So just to add a few to what the minister said, when Patience was making her presentation, she did mention that the master plans are strategic in nature. So we do a master plan, for example, from 2017 to 2030. That's a long term. But within the national framework, we do 4 years development plan. So within the 4 years, for example, the current planning cycle from 2022 to 2025, the district pick their plans, the wash aspect from the wash master plan. And from 2025 to 2029, where 2026 ongoing, there's going to be another planning cycle. And when it comes to the wash aspect, you are expected that you pick your programs and projects from the strategic plan. So it doesn't mean that the government side, like he said, is silent. We pick our major medium-term plans, which are funded mostly by government from the wash master plan. So it is all hands on deck. Yes, but you notice that when it comes to donors, they are more interested in your long-term strategic vision so that they will see whether it will fit into their vision so they can buy in. That's why we adopted a wash master planning approach. But for the national, we use the 4-year cycle, and that one addresses everything comprehensive, including wash, education, health, everything. And that one is more comprehensive. Thank you.
Does that mean part of the process that Patience, that you work, also includes strategic engagement with long-term development partners? So for example, your country will have a long-term development strategy and plan with major donors, whether it be the World Bank or USAID or somebody else, and that plan will have priorities set in them. Do you have those conversations then with them about the water plan and strategy that you're creating, with the expectation that they will be able to also provide long-term support? And so is the water plan integrated into your national development strategy? And is it a priority in your national development strategy?
Yes, we have that ongoing. So I think last year we identified WASH, which is SDG 6, as a priority area for the country, based on the assessment on our commitment on SDGs. So that identified. And besides that, again, last year, in UN, there was some discussion on the 6 transitions. But in Ghana, we have contextualized our transitions to make it in line with our priority area on Goal 6. So the 6 transitions is also in line with SDG 6. But for Ghana, our priority actually is on 6.2. But based on the synergies that we have with 6.2, covering more than 136 targets, definitely 6.1 is part of it. So with this background, the Goal 6, Water Sanitation and Hygiene, is a priority for the government. And these discussions are already a part of all partners, at the global or the national level, for our plan preparation and even for our policy formulation, which is actually starting this year, but in terms of it finality, we'll see it in next year. So these discussions are ongoing, and not necessarily for just the districts, but also for the national. If you look at our when you look at our results when it comes to WASH, you know, we have about 90.2 when it comes to access to safe water. But in terms of the access to the 87.7 is more of the basic, at least basic. Yes, we have 87.7 access to for those who are doing at least basic. So that is not really a problem. It's kind of predictive for us to have the 100% by 2030. Our major problem has to do with that of sanitation, which we've identified as a priority, and the country is actually head on with that. In addition to that, we've signed a compact a presidential compact on WASH, and that is also giving us another push at that national level, the presidency, right to the sector, and even to the local level for us to do more. And that actually translates into the financing. So meaning that our Ministry of Finance will have to do more in terms of provision for, financial provision for the sector, and that's of the district level. So this is actually a priority which we are working towards.
Great, thank you. Patience.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. It was great. My name is Matthew, and I'm a researcher from Cranfield University in England, part of the WISER program. So I was just curious, I may have missed it, the types of sanitation facilities you have in Ahafo, whether it's pit latrines, container-based sanitation. I mean, you mentioned aiming for 100% coverage of WASH facilities. However, I'm curious regarding the typology, as we can have 100% coverage, but they could be of low quality. And how do you, in terms of the longevity of it, we know that with rapid urbanization, there's a lot of many informal settlements now in sub-Saharan Africa with very high population densities. And so we could be providing lots of on-site sanitation now, but perhaps in 20 years, the land space will not be enough. So yeah, I'm just curious to know about this. I'm researching in sanitation and its provision in informal settlements in sub-Saharan Africa, so I was just curious about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the question wasn't so clear. Maybe if you can take it again.
The question was whether or not, what type of sanitation exists within the region right now. And I think the concern is that without proper sanitation and wastewater treatment, then your water supplies are going to be vulnerable in the not too distant future. And so what plans do you have to also increase sanitation in the region in order to protect the quality of your water going forward? Was that fair? There we go.
Excellent. So thank you very much. So now, of course, as a patient said, for the water side, we seem to be doing quite well. The sanitation and hygiene side, not very well. But as a region, what we did was the government collaborated with the private sector, ARICOP, to set up one of the biggest recycling plants in the region. Now, this plant accepts all kinds of waste, and then some is recycled into compost to support. Our region is noted for agriculture. It's one of the food baskets of Ghana. So we recycle the waste into compost to support the agriculture sector. Now, also at the district level, where the waste that is not brought to the recycling plant, we have what we call landfill sites, which are professionally managed by the environmental health units, so that they do dumping, which sometimes we call it crude dumping. They dump, they cover with laterite, and then they seal it off, so that, and also occasionally they also spray the sites with approved chemicals to ensure that flies don't emanate from there to the community to cause diseases. So from the sanitation side, we are not there yet, but at least a lot is being done to ensure that waste is seen more as a resource, but not as a burden or a problem. So we do a lot of recycling. And as I speak now, the challenge is how to get the waste to the plant. The plant can process all the waste in our region. I told you it's a small region, including our neighboring region. That's Kumasi. But how to transport it there? So that is what the strategy is, to get even more waste for the plant to process. So the sanitation side and the hygiene side, we are not leaving it behind. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a great question, because I am concerned about those approaches if we have extreme hydrologic events and what that might mean to the region if those ponds overflow and things like that. So there's a lot of challenges, but that's very good to hear. This will be the last question. Hank?
I don't know. That's up to you.
No, it will be. Sorry.
Okay. My name is Henk Holtslag. I have a question on water quality. As you probably know, the WHO is promoting household water treatment and safe storage wherever you are not sure that the quality of the water is good. And I can give an example from Ethiopia. The utilities sometimes have a power cut, sometimes there's 3 days no water, so people have to store the water in a tank. So some utilities, over 100 utilities already now sell water filters as an additional service, so people can have safe water at the point of use. So I have two short questions. First, do you in Ghana also promote household water treatment as an option to have safe water? And the number two is, do you have similar activities like promoting or stimulating water utilities to also sell filters as an additional service? Thank you.
Yeah, so the overall strategy, I know there is a guideline on drinking water safety management. I think NDPC has developed a whole guideline on how to manage drinking water, even including the home, because we've seen that, as I agree with you, sometimes you fetch the water, bring it home, and it gets contaminated in the house. So as part of our communication and hygiene education, our strategy also involves educating households on proper keeping of their water. In fact, there's a whole guideline on it. I must say that there's a challenge with implementation, but it's something that we have our eye on, and we keep educating our households to ensure that they safely keep their water, and then ensure that they don't contaminate the water before they use it. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jake. We're going to wrap up in a second, and Jake, I'm going to have you come up and give some closing comments. But before I do that, I want to turn it to Patience. Did you have any final words that you want to leave us with? And then I'll go to Charles and then His Excellency.
Yeah, so I think what I want to leave us with is that there's been a number of strides that the country is making. I think I actually want to respond to one of the sanitation questions, which Mr. Ntiama, you responded to. So for Ghana, in addition to the transport and then the management of our waste, I think what we are also focusing much on has to do with our toilet facilities at the various household levels. So presently we are doing about 59% of households based on our population housing census for 2021. So if we really want to expand the coverage, which we are looking at 100%, it's also one of the areas that is a priority for us, even as we look at the parallels in terms of the movement and management, we also need to tackle that of a household. We are bringing all these plans and all these strategies. We have a gamut of policies and all that on board with the support of the ministry and our CSOs and NGOs. Why? Because, yes, we understand that government may be constrained when it comes to support with regards to our financing to attain our target for 2030. But regardless, we need to have a predictive way of doing things. That is why we need to tackle it right from its foundation, which has to do with our planning. So as part of our supporting our system building in WASH, we need to get our strategies, we need to get our actions as predictive as possible, so that at least we know where exactly we are going and how much it may take for us to get there. So that's the more reason why for our country, we are looking at the master plan, even beyond our medium-term plans. And it's our hope that, within the shortest possible time, we'll be able to scale up the very good case studies we are having in Ahafo to even the rest of the regions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Patience. Charles?
All right, thank you very much. I just wanted to speak to the issue on communications on site. So currently, what we do is that we work with information centers at the various community level, and that is more of a direct path or center where people are able to walk in and then talk to the information center attendant about any issue he or she has. Then it is channeled to the various districts for redress. Now, another thing or another strategy we've also adopted is to work with the various districts departmental heads. So for the environmental health, agric extension officers, and some other officers, they are almost all the time at the field interacting with the community members. So they also pick some feedback from them and complaints, and then they also bring it back to the Assembly for redress. So there are a number of structures at the community level, even including community volunteers. So these are people, community members are able to channel whatever issues or grievance they have through them to the district assembly. And then finally, to add on to the last question that was asked about the education or sensitization on water, quality. So within the World Water Week, as part of our activities, we had a house-to-house engagement within the various communities. And then as part of the message to them was education on water storage, water transportation, and then water transportation. So those who have mechanized systems, the team goes there to inspect, the overhead tanks, and then to know whether they have a filter. If they do not, then we also educate them on, the need for having some of those filters, and then also at the household level, how they can also store water within their homes. Thank you.
Great. And Your Excellency, any final words?
Finally, mine is to thank all development partners, IRC, Netcentric, Hilton Foundation, and all others who have been helping to bring safe water to Ahafo. And I want to assure you that leadership of the region is very much committed and ever ready to receive whoever will come and then partner with us to ensure that our citizens get good drinking water and also adopt good hygiene practices to ensure that they grow and they become healthy. As at now, we are gradually eliminating typhoid fever from the region. It used to be about 60% every month, but now hardly will you get even 10 or 5%. So thank you very much, and we assure you that we are there for you as you are also there for us. Thank you very much.
You are not just committed, but you hold yourselves accountable, and it's very impressive. It's not easy to show up in forums like this and to describe what you're doing and to expose yourself to the questions and everything that comes up, and we really appreciate it. It shows dedication and accountability on your part. And so, Jacob, it's up to you to close out.
Thank you very much. So now, there is the need for continuous engagement and responsiveness with our stakeholders. That is our call to action. And here we are saying that if you intend to succeed in the implementation of your WASH master plans, then continuous engagement. So we will continue to do that. There's also the need to continue to build trust and ensure transparency and accountability in the management and the implementation of these plans, and the need to stay on the path of sustainability using leadership and, of course, professionalism. So on this note, our contacts are projected. My contact as the project manager and also the region is all projected. At any point, you can reach out to us either as a donor or as a contributor or as a learner who will want to come and learn from our experience. Thank you very much, and God bless you for coming.
Thank you, everyone, to our distinguished colleagues, and thanks to all of you for attending today. We are going to make these sessions a bigger priority going forward. Thank you, everyone.